Hello, everyone, and welcome to Geopolitical Trends. My name is David Oualaalou. Today, I want to talk to you about a topic that is not getting enough coverage here in the West. And this one has to do with whether Poland will be hosting US nuclear weapons on its soil. It is a big topic. So before I'll get into this and provide you insight about how displacements of the US nukes in Poland will certainly change the conversation regarding not only the Ukraine war, we're talking also about global security and how it will impact you directly. But before I'll delve deeper into this issue, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the like and notification buttons so you will be notified every time I upload a new video. Well, it looks to me like the security architecture that is of Europe and the world for that matter is about to change. If Poland and the US come to an agreement regarding the placement of US nuclear weapon that is on Polish territory, that is a major change. There are reports as we speak, because I just came across it yesterday and I had to check. It's still no confirmation yet, and I'll tell you why in a second here. But there are reports suggesting that Poland has been in talks to host nuclear weapons from the US on its soil. How accurate this reporting remains to be seen. So I'm here to address this issue from a security perspective, which fall within my wheelhouse. In light of the broiling tensions between Russia and the West, NATO, the US, and so forth, over the war in Ukraine, Polish President Andrzej Duda stated that he is in discussion with the US on this matter, though it will not happen in the near future, according to his statements. And there is a reason for why. Such an agreement will not usually make a Poland a nuclear power. However, as the United States will retain, because the United States will retain the control of the weapons in similar arrangements to what it has in Turkey as of today, because we do have nuclear weapons in Turkey as well, in addition to Germany, Belgium, Holland, Italy, and I believe there is another country in Europe. So Duda also said, the president of Poland, and I'm going to quote here, let me get the quote here to make sure I quote him accurately. And he said, and I quote, "There is always potential opportunity to participate in the nuclear sharing program." And when he was asked, end of quote, by the way, and when he was asked about a possible nuclear sharing program with NATO, he responded by saying, and I quote, "We have spoken with the American leaders about whether the US is considering such a possibility. So the issue is open." End of quote. I can hear, I can read in these statements that there is something is not right. That's just my analytical way of approaching things. That the way the Polish president is talking, President Duda, that just doesn't sound right. So when he said the issue is open, and he continued on to say that he stressed that the program is a long-term goal rather than a policy that will be enacted very, very soon. And he's right about that. This kind of programs, it takes years to put it in place. But here is the interesting or fascinating thing that I want you to understand, is that the United States denied that the Polish authorities have been asking the United States on this matter. They denied there is the Polish authorities have asked whether the US will agree on placing its nuclear weapons there. And I quote one of the US officials, anonymous, didn't want to disclose the name. That was the condition for him to disclose this. He said, and I quote, he or she, we don't know. he or she, we are not aware of this issue being raised and would refer to the government of Poland. End of quote. This is why I'm saying earlier, if I am to put my geopolitical analyst hat, I do not see the accuracy of the statements coming from both ends, from Poland and from the United States, especially from the Polish president. Well, just FYI, for a historical snapshot about the relationship between Poland and Ukraine, if even Polish president is pushing for this, because there is also an old animosity that existed between Poland and Ukraine. Historically speaking, Ukrainians have committed some serious crimes, heinous crimes against the Polish back then. So it will be very interesting to see how these dynamics evolve. And I'm going to keep an eye on this because that's, again, part of my academic background in international security, that I maintain this kind of research and so forth. So the United States is estimated, by the way, to have about 100 nuclear weapons currently stationed in other parts of Europe. They're dispersed among, for example, like I said earlier, the Netherlands, Belgium, Germany, Italy, and Turkey. No. And this is, and I will provide you, by the way, the link to all this, so you'll have an idea of where things are as far as the nuclear weapon. But here is the thing. Stationing nuclear weapons in Poland will violate both the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty and the NATO-Russia Founding Act that was signed in 1997. So, in which NATO pledged not to station nuclear weapons in the territory of any new members. So, just let that sink in. The act has been signed between NATO and Russia, by which NATO will not station any nuclear weapon in the new NATO members, which most of them were from the Eastern Europe bloc after 1991, when the Soviet Union disintegrated. So by the way, let me share with you which countries have most nuclear weapons in the world. And I'm going to give them in order here based on the amount of nuclear weapons they hold. Russia is first, Russian Federation, with about 6,255 nuclear warheads. The United States second with 5,550. China, 350. France, 290. UK, United Kingdom, 225. Pakistan, 165. India, 156. Israel, 90. North Korea, it says none, but material to build 40 to 50 nuclear warheads is available. Now, with North Korea, I think there is a nuclear weapon already there. This is why we are not attacking North Korea, because of their retaliation, because the distance, as you may know, the DMZ, the demilitarized zone, which is only 15 miles between South Korea and North Korea. So, and we do have about 50,000 US troops stationed there, so you can just see where the problem, if we ever attack North Korea. So let me provide you my analysis as to where I see this is headed and why it is a bad idea to place US nuclear weapons on Polish soil. So there are about 4 key points I'm going to address for you here, just to put things in perspective again. First is moving nuclear weapons usually to Poland or any other country for that matter will be very expensive. Because this is not a matter of putting nukes on train and drive off. No, it would be very expensive. Relocation would require constructing special infrastructure known in the military jargon as WS3. And what is WS3? Basically, it is weapon storage and security system. We refer to it in the military as a WS3, which is a system that includes electronic controls and vaults built into the floor of a protective aircraft shelters. And usually we do have a lot here in the United States, in other NATO military airfields all over the world. So that's just a normal procedure, but you have to build the infrastructure for that. And this infrastructure is underground storage of vaults, as I said, and other equipments to ensure their security. Because can you imagine some entity, doesn't matter who, end up getting its hand on the nukes? So the vaults normally are allocated within specialty or within specially hardened aircraft shelters. So it is not a budget booster for U.S. and NATO militaries have, thus far. It has, because NATO and the U.S. has far more pressing needs to shore up the alliance and deterrence than just think about placing nukes in Poland. That's, to me, just not a common sense. Second point is deploying the nukes, which will be, in this case, under the B-61 bombs in Poland, will make Poland, that is, and the B-61 bombers will make them more vulnerable to Russian preemptive attacks in a crisis or a conflict. Because here is one thing, like I disclosed in my Russia book. Russia has a nuclear doctrine by which, if it feels threatened, they can strike first with a nuclear weapon. So placing those weapons in Poland, so Russia has already, because here is the thing, Russia has already deployed one of the type of missiles called ballistic missiles, that is called Iskander ballistic missiles. Those are already in Kaliningrad. And here is the interesting thing about Kaliningrad. It is only within 500 kilometers from Poland. So basically, these missiles could strike targets in almost all of Poland within a matter of minutes, with a little warning, basically. So you can just see the problem with that. Third point, placing nuclear weapon, U.S. nuclear weapon, that is in Poland, will be hugely provocative to Russia. And I'm not saying we should be scared of Russia, whatever. No. All I'm saying is, in diplomacy or foreign affairs, you have to have cool heads. This act, by placing nukes near Russia's doorsteps, they're going to look at it as provocative. And this is not an argument against provoking Russia in general, given the ongoing war in Ukraine, whatever, but just common sense would suggest you might want to think twice before you engage in something like this. Because, putting U.S. nukes so close to Russia, it will be perceived as provocation. And usually I tend to use history as my guide. Do you recall 1962, the Cuban Missile Crisis, when the Soviet Union at that time placed nuclear weapons only 90 miles from the American shores? At that time, President JFK, John Kennedy, imposed a naval blockade, which allowed time to work out a settlement with Moscow at that time. So in doing so, the president set aside the recommendations of many of his advisors for an airstrike and a full-scale invasion of Cuba, because we all know what that would have led to. The fourth point and the last point is, could the U.S. proposal, assuming the United States agreed, could the United States agreement to relocate its nuclear weapons to Poland, it will prove very divisive within NATO? Because we are already seeing the cracks within NATO about what's going on in Ukraine. Because the members of the alliance, of NATO alliance, stated in 1997 that they have no intentions, they have no plans, and they have no reason to deploy nuclear weapons on the territory of the new NATO members. And as I said earlier, most of the NATO members are in the Eastern Bloc after the disintegration of the Soviet Union. So, and interesting enough is that NATO itself has incorporated this into so-called founding act, and I will provide you a link to it. That's basically established the relationship between NATO and Russia after the collapse of the Soviet Union. Now, the question that looms large is how this will impact me, or impact you for that matter. It will. It's because a provocation like this, because we're already hearing the conversation about the use of nuclear weapons. It is a frightening scenario. As a matter of fact, Russia just moved 1 kilotons bomb into Moscow as we speak. And devastation will be all over. And once again, I'm not saying to be scared of Russia, whatever. No. I'm talking pragmatically here. I am talking about the fate of the world moving forward. If tensions escalate beyond control, and if we don't have cool heads to prevail, then those policymakers are taking us over the cliff. It won't be safe for anybody, because the massive power of this current nuclear weapons far outweigh what took place in Nagasaki and Hiroshima back after World War II. So this is why I decided to come on the air, share this with you. So here's today's question for you. Will placing US nukes or nuclear weapons in Poland trigger nuclear war? Let me repeat this question for you. Will placing US nuclear weapons in Poland trigger a nuclear war? Yeah. Let me know what you think and leave me some comments and I will check them out. As always, remember, geopolitics impacts your daily life in more ways than one. Till next time. Bye-bye.